Alrighty, hey guys. I was messing up a bit. I was weirdly trying to connect my headphones to read a manga. I don't know what happened for my brain to do that. But yeah, we're reacting to One Piece chapter 1000, almost said 500, but nope. Chapter 1153, titled The Birth of Loki. So yeah, continuing Yamato's pilgrimage. So we got Daimyo Ringo, which is Kiku. It says Kiku Nojo Daimyo of Ringo and Boss Cho. But yeah, getting into the chapter, we got Dory and Broggy venturing into the past. It says Dory and Broggy share a wild childhood with Harold, the Prince of Elbaf. So we see Kid Dory, Broggy, and Harold all just raising their weapons. It says, born into the bloodline of the ancient giants, the prince possessed a colossal body, monster strength, and high status. He grew into an arrogant and unruly rogue that no one could rein in. And so we see him like picking his nose, saying, "What a bore. What a bore. Everyone outside Elbaf is pathetically weak and puny." He says, "Ain't that right, guys?" And they say, "Exactly, sire, just as you say." So yeah, he like picks his nose and then flicks it, and we see in the background there's this huge explosion. A shark goes flying out of the water. And it says, Kingdom of Bunt, New World. Come one, come all, standing 10 meters tall. Each of her steps is an earthquake. Her roar is thunder itself. She's one of the world's elusive giants, hailing all the way from Elbaf. Take a gander at Ida. And so yeah, she's like, roar. And they're like, it's like, get away from the cage, it's dangerous. And it's like everybody like runs away. And then yeah, Harold, looking through some binoculars, says it takes balls to turn one of us giants into a roadside attraction. And then he laughs, says, they were fools to mock Elbaf. We showed them. And then Ida says, who are you? Says, no need to thank me. I'm the king of Elbaf. I couldn't just sit back while they slighted my homeland. And yeah, she slaps them. They say, Your Majesty, King Harold. And he's like, huh? She says, turn the ship around. You need to apologize. A lot of people got hurt. And he's like, are you crazy? You want to go back to that puny doll kingdom? And she like clenches her fist, and then next panel we see Harold's all messed up and says, you want me to rough you up? King Harold. Like, yeah, his men yelling his name again. And Ida says, they took me in and gave me work after finding me adrift on the brink of death. Thanks to their kindness, I was able to earn enough to eat and recover from my injuries. He says, little dolls, what the hell is that supposed to mean? You just happen to be born big. Your strength is a quirk of fate. Don't kid yourself into thinking you're better than the humans, you arrogant disgrace. This kind of crap is why all us other giants are always lumped in with you Elbaf savages. And then he says, I was just born big. And so yeah, it goes back and we see them helping out with the rebuilding and smiling, and all the people. Some of them are injured, but yeah. Whew. And back on the ship says, King Harold, are we setting sail? And he says, what are you guys spacing out for? And they say, huh? And Harold says, help them rebuild, you imbeciles. That miniature model city of theirs. And they say, yes, sir. And they take off running. It says, their construction techniques are completely different. It says, we'll teach you some stuff for when you get back to Elbaf. Your use of spices is something too. I've never eaten anything with this much flavor before. It says, and the quality of your fabrics. And yeah, she like reaches her hand out and gets him to bow before this king. It says, they're so sophisticated. Humans sure are good with their hands. And yeah, Harold like playing with the children, the giants, and doing the Nika dance. And it says, look at it like this, Harold. The destruction of anything in this world is a waste. I guess that's Ida saying that. It says, I was born on Samuanai Island in the South Blue. One thing led to another, and I ended up on these seas. And it says, you went over the blood-soaked serpent. So yeah, the red line. That's interesting. Because Ida says, are you talking about the red line? And she says, well, yeah, I did, but I can't go back now. And so yeah, I got them like bowing to some islanders that are pointing spears at them. He said, Harold says, come to Elbaf. We're not as savage as you think, as he gets some shark. And says, yeah, maybe I misjudged you too harshly. And then the people on the ship saying, King Harold has really changed. It's kind of creepy. Hopefully it's just a phase. And so we go to Elbaf 105 years ago. And it says, up until now, or Harold, I guess, saying, up until now, we've committed countless sins, and it's time we atone for them. Yeah, people are like, what's wrong with you, Harold? He says, as king, I intend to frequently travel overseas. I hope to extend a hand of reconciliation to our neighbors and learn from their cultures. Our land can be more prosperous if we learn from the world. And then, yeah, one of them says, Dorian Broggy and the others will never stop running wild. And then, yeah, he says, I go back. Harold says, I go way back with those two. They have always had an unusual disposition. They've never failed to treat humans fairly and honorably. That's true, they say. It says, we can still hold on to our warrior ways, right? Harold says, we may have to reconsider some traditions if other countries feel threatened. And yeah, we got Jarl and Yorl. Yorl laughing, saying, what a change. Jarl says, Boja. Seems there's a tumultuous journey ahead. And Ida says, Harold is, no, Elbaf is blessed. And say we exchange diplomats with other nations. We could build a deeper cultural understanding. And he says, I see, so it's like a fancy hostage deal, huh? And then he says, that's not it at all. People need to forge connections. It's Edith saying that, one or the other. Harold, I assume, is saying it's like a fancy hostage deal, and Edith's like, no. It says, otherwise, international cooperation is impossible. So we go Elbaf 81 years ago, Eastern Fishing Village. It says, you finally had the baby. Ida, congrats. And then, yeah, some people saying, or Harold starts to say, thank you, Ida and I. And then they say, unfortunately, we can't recognize your marriage. Only pure blood can be permitted within the royal family. And then Harold says, damn it, forgive me, Ida. And she says, all these issues boil down to culture. Our feelings alone won't change things. And so he says, you're always welcome in the village. Yeah, Giant's in the back saying, you're always welcome in our village, Ida. And so yeah, little baby Haruden. Because Ida says, isn't that great, Haruden? At least you can stay near your papa. Whew. And so yeah, it says Harold. And then we, I guess, jump and they say, Harold, meet your future bride. Lady Estrid carries the noble blood of the ancient giant. She is a woman truly fit to become queen. She says, I was born in Alcohol Village in the north. I'm a student of the Earth Wind Arts. So yeah, it says, Alcohol Village, daughter from a prominent background, Estrid. And so yeah, she's talking to Harold, says, I am fated to love you for the rest of my life. Forget about that Eastern woman and her bastard. Harold's like, no, that's. He says, oh, no, that's. And Estrid says, the energies here are aligned to the east. This won't do at all. The king's spirit is leaking out. Quick, shut the windows. And Harold's like, what? And she says, in that mirror, it's positioned in a lethal 5-star configuration. Dispose of it. And then, yeah. Gets a horse, says, Ashura, the horse of good fortune. It's a fine steed worthy of your majesty. Consider it a gift from my family. It's sure to bring you good fortune. And says, it's huge. Why does it have 8 legs? That's something. And then Esther says, guard, take all the jewels and gold and take all of the jewels and gold to my room. The king's vicinity should be focused on the energies of earth and wind. Also inform the servants that from today onward, the king and I will take all our meals on silver platters. And then, yeah, one of the guards is thinking, isn't that just an indulgence? Now we're at 70-ish years ago. In this age, the rough seas still made travel between islands difficult. It says, Elbaf's advanced navigation techniques intrigued other countries. And we've got Harold saying, this is a star which never moves called the Pole Star. And yeah, they say, oh really? And Kanji says, North Star. And then yeah, got some people saying, King Harold, you met the fisherman. And he says, yep, it's about time Yep, it's about time. I even saw mermaids. Their people carry the blood of the ocean. In their country, a prince was born by the name of Neptune. And it wasn't just fishmen and mermen around. The sea creatures themselves were coming together in jubilation. I'm like, wow, okay, next. 63 years ago, it was Castle. While Harold was overseas, they say, congratulations, my queen, it's a healthy baby boy. His name is Loki. I spoke with the king about it. Let me get a good look at my son's face. And then, yeah, we see Loki's eyes. And here Estrid is like, freaks out and says, huh? She's like, yeah, it's horrid. And like, Your Highness, it's freaking me out. What is it? What is that? This thing can't possibly be mine. And they're like, Your Highness, please calm down. And she says, tell the king it was a stillbirth. This is utterly unacceptable. It's cursed. Just look at it. It's a monster. And it says, yeah, talking about Loki. It says, when the Prince of Elbaf stretched his arms into the air, no one was there to take the small hands in theirs. And they say, Your Highness, stop this. That's the prince. So seemingly Esther just grabbed Loki and then yeeted him. It said that the most unfortunate souls are those rejected from birth by their own mothers. And so Esther says, listen to me, no child was born today. I forbid you from telling anyone. And then, yeah. So, yeah. Esther, they're like asking her where she's going because she's like packing all her stuff. She says, I'm returning to my village. I never want to give birth again. And they're like, Your Highness, Captain. They say it's coming from the realm of the dead. And they say, Esther says, the realm of the dead, what about it? And so you got Loki all battered and bruised, climbing the tree. Ooh, so soon after, Queen Estrid collapsed due to ill health. And she says, dispose of the child. It's becoming clear that this was foretold long before it came into the world. It is said that King Harold will someday be slain by his own son. And they're like, enough with the crazy talk. And so, yeah, meanwhile, Harold struggled against the walls of diplomacy. And so we see him, like, putting his hand on his head, saying, blocked by the world government again. Why can't countries just be free? And then, yeah, we got Ida saying, hey, he's your little brother. Don't you want to see the little guy? And it's like, if he's not your kid, Mom, there's no way I can call him my little brother. And she's just like, oh, sweetie, you're so cute, even when you say such awful things. And then, yeah, from then on, every misfortune that struck Elbaf was chalked up to Loki's curse. And so, yeah, the cursed prince is born. And so, yeah, that's the end of the chapter. Hope y'all enjoy this one. If you did, then leave a like on it, sub the channel, hit that notification bell. And, yeah, glad you enjoyed it if you did, and I'll see y'all the week after next since there's a break. So, later.